I'm Carol, and I'm the general manager for Uber in the Southeast, which includes this great state of Florida. Today, I want to invite you toward a shared vision of the future of urban mobility. And we're going to cover that in 3 parts. First, let's talk about the problem of personal car ownership. Second, let's talk about how to make shared electric mobility the default and what Uber's doing to innovate in that space. And then third, how we're working together with cities to make this a reality. So, how much time in your life have you spent like this? Right, in traffic, right, behind the wheel, and by yourself in the car. The truth is, this is how most Americans travel. Over 80% of miles traveled in transportation are spent like this, one person alone in a car. And only 2% is done on public transit. And that's just when the car is moving. There's a whole other problem around where you put these cars. So this challenge of parking, the thing with parking is that it actually causes more driving. Because in areas where there's a lot of parking, it's hard to walk. And so when it's hard to walk, you drive. And then when more people drive, you need more parking. So it's a vicious cycle. But this is far from just an American problem. There are cities around the world that are struggling and straining under the growth of personal car ownership. And so our Asia Pacific business made a video illustrating, I think in a funny way, this challenge, and I want to share that with you. It's about a minute long.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be found of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. When you look under the rocks and plants and take a glance at the fancy ants, then maybe try a few. The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you.
So let's imagine a better world. So what if we were able to completely shift the paradigm from owning your own car, your own cardboard box, to everyone sharing a ride, to a world where you had your choice among reliable, affordable, convenient transportation that is increasingly powered by zero-emission electric propulsion. We're not alone in wanting to do that. A lot of research has suggested that it can happen, and if we make that transition a reality, it's going to make cities easier and more livable. An International Transport Forum study estimated that if every vehicle on the road was shared, you would only need 3% of the vehicles that are in use today, 3%. And if we did that, if we only had 3% of the vehicles, it would be much easier to provide better engines and electric engines for the vehicles that are on the road. But none of this will happen on its own. We need to make getting around without your own car convenient, easy, reliable, and affordable. That's exactly where Uber can help. Our goal is to provide transportation that's more convenient and more efficient than the personal car. And we're doing this primarily through 2 technologies. One is shared mobility technologies, and the other is increasingly electric mobility. So the first way that we're reducing cars on the road is our core ride-sharing service. So for every month, we have 25. For every 25 active riders on our platform, we only have one active driver. And so what that means is, if you had those 25 riders taking their own cars, we're reducing that down dramatically. So automatically, just with Uber's core ride-sharing service, each car that's on the road is doing the work that 10 or 25 cars would have otherwise done. And that helps reduce the overall need for personal cars, reducing the need for parking, and opening up these city streets. And we're already seeing evidence from people around the world who are thinking differently about owning a car thanks to the core ride-sharing service that Uber provides. And what about actual carpooling? So for those of you who were here at Synapse last year, you heard about Uber Pool, which is our carpooling service. Now, Uber Pool is live in over 40 cities, and to date, we've provided more than 1 billion shared rides through Uber Pool. Since then, we've also innovated to provide what's now called Express Pool. That's what's illustrated here. And the way this works is that riders request a ride. I'm going from here to here. They're asked to wait a couple minutes, and then we look for people who are going along the same direction, and we ask folks to walk a little bit. Go to your nearest corner, right, for both pickup and drop-off. When you do that, you're able to provide straighter, better, faster routes, which means more affordable rides for riders, faster rides for riders. For drivers, you have longer trips because you're getting more and more people in a chain on those trips, and you're reducing congestion on city streets. We also need to work on the cars themselves. So today, there's not enough charging infrastructure to support all of the cars that are in Uber's service. And so we need to work with cities to make sure that we are increasing this charging infrastructure. In London, for example, we announced our Clean Air Plan to help fix this. And this has set up a small fund to help drivers access electric vehicles. We've only been able to do this because the City of London is really motivated and has set up these incentives for vehicle owners, whether they're private car owners, taxis, what have you, so that people can make the transition from non-electric to electric. And we've only touched on cars so far. So what about the other modes of transportation? Last year, we announced our first ever integration in the Uber app with Jump. And Jump Bikes provides pedal assist electric bikes. In cities with Jump, you can go into the Uber app and you can now choose whether you want to take an UberX or Uber Pool car ride, or if you want to take a shared electric Jump bike. In some cities, you can also book an electric scooter as well. Let me ask the room here, has anyone actually ridden one of these electric bikes? We have a couple hands. I bet next year there are going to be a lot more. If you haven't done that and you find yourself in a city with Jump, I really encourage you to book one of these bikes. When I first did it, I felt like I had superpowers. It's a lot of fun. And we're not just planning for bikes. We want to be the Amazon of transportation at Uber. We want to provide a convenient way to get from point A to B, no matter what mode of transportation makes the most sense for you. So we've covered cars. We've covered electric bikes. We've covered electric scooters. Step a little bit farther into the future with me, and let's fly. You heard this just a bit ago, but we are partnering with leading companies to unlock air travel through what's called Uber Elevate. Just yesterday, one of our partners completed its first successful flight in Virginia. This is a tremendous step forward for us. It's taking aerial ride sharing from something that was just a vision less than 2 years ago to the actual skies. We know we can't do this alone, so let's talk about how we're working with cities. There really is only so much that we can do alone. We can make shared and electric transportation easier, but if we really want to make a meaningful impact, we need to work together with governments that have the unique ability to manage the overall transportation system, and to also ensure peace of mind for people who are using these new modes of transportation. One of the ways we're working with governments is through Uber Movement. You can check it out at movement.uber.com. Through this, we make our data available to cities. And this is really impactful because we have a lot of data at Uber. And providing this to cities gives information on travel time, speeds, and this helps cities understand where congestion is and when it's happening. It's being used today in markets from Boston to London, Paris, Bogota, Nairobi, and more. And the newest version, which is currently in testing, adds detail down to the street segment level and the speed of the vehicles. So this is key to understanding and informing a host of transportation policies, from when and where congestion happens, to what the impact of new bike lanes or electric charging infrastructure might be, to how to better route public transit. This data is free for cities, and we're releasing it on a shared standard built by large departments of transportation across the country. We've been working with the National Association of City Transportation Officials on this. And in the coming weeks, we are going to be expanding it in the state of Florida as well. Finally, another way that we're innovating in our technology is to work with cities to make travel safer than ever before. So if you've taken Uber, you know that with a push of a button, you can get a ride and you can avoid driving drunk, for instance. You can have your trip live tracked on GPS. You can share that even with your loved ones so that they know where you are and they have peace of mind. Over the past year, we've also developed some important new safety features for both riders and drivers to really differentiate Uber in this space. Here's a short video that illustrates some of these new features.
With millions of rides a day, Uber is dedicated to keeping riders and drivers safe on the road. That's why we're excited to announce new safety features in the Uber app. The Safety Center is a dedicated place within the app where riders can learn about everything we're doing to keep them safe, including information about driver screening processes, insurance protections, and our community guidelines. All riders can now quickly contact 911 directly from the Uber app. Once the rider connects with 911, they can view their real-time location, both on a map and as an address, so that they can easily share it directly with the 911 operator. In some markets, Uber has partnered with Rapid SOS to allow riders the option to enable Uber to automatically share their ride location and trip details with the 911 dispatcher. Riders in these markets can easily disable this feature in settings if they choose. And finally, riders can designate up to 5 family members or friends as their trusted contacts and set up prompts so they never forget to share their trip details with those they love. For example, riders can be reminded within the app to share their late-night trips with their trusted contacts, making it easier than ever to give your loved ones peace of mind that you've arrived safely to your destination. At Uber, safety is extremely important to us. By partnering with local law enforcement around the world, we hope to better serve the communities we all live in. Learn more at uber.com/safety.
As you saw in that video, we have a 911 integration, and through a partnership with Rapid SOS, in Naples, Tallahassee, and Pinellas County, we can share this information. If you call 911, your location, the make model of your car, we can share that with the 911 dispatcher. I'm very happy to announce that today we've launched this integration as well right here in Hillsborough County and in the city of Tampa. This means that you can share that live location and your trip details electronically with that call taker. Experts say that around 10,000 lives a year could be saved if first responders could get to that 911 caller just 1 minute faster. And that is part of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to help with innovations like this. So, we've covered a lot. Shared cars, shared bikes, shared scooters, the movement towards electric transportation, flying cars even. The world that we would like to see is, it starts with streets that are built for people and not cars. Here's an example of something we like from our home city of San Francisco, where a space that used to house 1 or 2 cars has been repurposed into a lively public space. We can work together to make this vision a reality, from a world that's choked up with cars to one that's built for people. Let's do that together. Thank you.